All right.
Okay.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
Oh, no, never mind.
So I think this will be pretty simple. For one, I just have to kind of discuss the article. And just pick one of these top prompts to review. Just write a paragraph about it after we're done with our example.
Oh, okay, I can share my example first. If you guys want me to. All right, so it was saying we could make up an example or use a real life one. So I decided to use a real life one with my brother.
Right.
So my brother, he's a data analyst for a real estate company at the moment in Utah. And the data that he collects is mainly demographics of an area. So he collects like stuff about people's situation in the area, situations like just to see if the company wants to buy an apartment building and refurbish it in the area. He looks up like, have they gone to college? Are they graduated from high school? Do they have jobs? And pretty normal things. But the bias part that comes into it is he looks up the ethnic groups in the area to see which one is like the most prominent, how many of what type are in the area. And that's where the bias comes in, because depending on the ethnic group, depends how much, if they buy the apartment building, how much they're going to rent out the rooms. Like, for, let's say, he was talking to me a little bit about it. And he says, like, for white people, Caucasians, we tend to keep apartments cleaner. We don't run the place down. We don't run the place down. And just stuff like that. And then he found, like, as he was doing his work, he found that Hispanic people tend to not pay rent on time or when they're supposed to. And then with African Americans, they tend to run the place down. That's just demographics for all around the United States. But that's what he looks up, and that's where the bias comes in. So yeah.
Yeah. Pretty common too, like you said, around the U.S. So.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll read mine real quick if that's all right.
Sure.
So I put, in my line of work, I speak with several teachers in regards to their supplemental retirement accounts known as 403Bs. In my initial presentation, I introduce myself, explain what I'll be doing with them, and I pass them an appointment sheet to fill out to set an appointment with me. In doing this, I have boxes on the bottom that say that they can mark if they have a current 403B and would like a review. Then I know what to do with them when I meet them. To put it into perspective, if they have a current account that isn't being managed well or performing well, I have the opportunity to switch that account and make a commission off of it. My initial bias is when I get the appointment sheets back, I'm more eager to meet with those that have current 403B accounts marked than those that don't. I tend to spend more resources on trying to get appointments with them, take more time when meeting with them, and ultimately look forward to it more. I feel this is a bias of approval because approval is in one series of studies, researchers found that people were more willing to endorse an overly generous outcome that favored them than they were to make that judgment themselves. While this is a bad bias, I feel like it's something that I'm working on and trying to treat all teachers the same, because the reality is that I've learned what they mark on the sheet doesn't always coordinate with what they truly have. And that's what I came up with.
Nice.
So mine has to do with the familiarity. So I said familiarity is something that stands out to me at the place that I work. I've noticed that the longer employees work and build relationships with management, the more lenient management is in regards to quality and quantity of work, ability to projects and shirk on a normal day responsibilities and so forth. Peeve of mine for the fact that people start slacking as they have, and that the job is safe, that they're safe because management likes them. They feel that they can get away with because they are friends with management. So I think it kind of ties in that the more familiar you are with people, the more biased you are towards them, and kind of like let them do their own thing because you know that they're good people versus them actually doing the work that they're hired to do.
Two open. Sorry about that.
Can you hear?
Something happened with my. Yeah. Oh wait, did it stop working for you guys too?
Well,
Or is it
everyone
just
froze, and then you disappeared, and then it like just wouldn't work. But there's now two of you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see
I
two
know.
of you too, Porter.
I'm trying to get rid of it. Trying to get rid of the llama. I only have one window open though.
Oh, there you go.
it
It's
disappeared.
gone now.
All right. Sweet. Is that working now?
Yeah, now it
Yes.
looks good.
Sweet. Man, we're getting a tour of your house.
Yeah, sorry, my daughter was screaming upstairs when my wife was giving her a shower, so I had to go check on her to see what was going on.
No worries. Okay, so now we just need to, I think we just need to pick one. I guess we need to discuss the article that we read, questions to address in like a paragraph.
Okay. So
Let's see.
what was coming to my mind while I was reading the article, biased. I feel that biasness, I guess if that's a word, comes over time. Like for the second one, third one, familiarity, like you get to know someone, and a lot of bias that I've come across is I've gained it over time, like perspective of people, like certain type of people. Like for me personally, over time, I've gained the bias that if I'm walking down an alley and it's dark and there's a couple of guys walking towards me, I'm gonna think I might get robbed. Just like the bias like that. The bias that you learn growing up.
Right.
Because now that I like reflect, if not all of them were relationship based, firm had a relationship with the client, so they want to do good for them because A, they don't want to lose the client, or B, they want to make sure that they get their money.
Can you hear him, Porter?
I only got a little bit of that.
Yeah, mine. I see his mouth moving, but I don't hear anything coming out.
Oh, I got a little bit.
Now,
A little bit.
oh, great. It's probably my internet, to be honest, because we have really crappy internet.
I was like, I don't understand.
So really crappy internet. Okay.
Got it. So we just need to choose one. I'm honestly, like, I think what Spencer was saying is that we all pretty much have the same bias example. We just need to choose one of the three, I think, right? Is that kind of what he was getting at?
Well, it's if you look at the top of the Google Doc, there's paragraphs, questions, and we choose one of those questions to kind of talk about it, and then like base a little discussion on it, and then at the end just write a paragraph on it. And I think that's all we have to submit.
So we don't need to do. Okay, so all we need to do this time is just. Okay, when your group is finished, take just 5 to 10 minutes to write a paragraph telling what the most important or interesting insight is. Yeah, so I agree with you, Porter, that it's just a matter of. I think as individuals, we have kind of predisposition biases that we naturally have, but like you said, they develop over time just because of the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you know you see something different about a person, we tend to just go back. Something that's uncommon or different, I think, automatically makes us go back to the bias that we've kind of been told. We've grown up with. Yeah, I mean, so it's something that we've had, but at the same time, it is developed over time, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And it depends on where you grow up. It depends on who your parents are. I mean, I grew up in Washington,
Sure.
But my bias would be a lot different on some racial aspects if I grew up in the South. Not saying anything bad about the South, but
sure, no,
it would be different. And especially if I grew up in Texas.
Right.
Yeah. No, it all depends where we grow up in the time. I mean, and I think
the other thing to remember is the bias. I think with the media nowadays too, they kind of put certain biases in our heads. I mean, terror attacks. Not every, Muslim or Middle Eastern is a terrorist. But if you go on an airplane and you were to watch one person, I'm sure you poll 100 people, the majority are going to look at that person. Just like in a dark alley, like you said, if I see a white guy with a whole bunch of tattoos all over his neck, and I'm probably cross the street to the other side just because it's a bias that these people have, and deserve it or not. I mean, the reality is that media's put that into our mind, and it's just kind of where we're at. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
No, going off of what you're saying with the tattoos, I served my mission in New Zealand, and they have Tomokos, which is their genealogy, tattooed on their face. And
wow,
a lot of the nicest people I've ever met in New Zealand have those Tomokos on their face.
Wow.
I mean,
I was in
a temple, and going through the veil and everything, and the guy that pulls me through, he's got a Tomoko on his face. I'm just like, okay.
Wow.
But yeah, it all depends. Like you're saying, it all depends. It's a crazy world.
All right, well, let's do this. I'll start writing. Let's just kind of start writing and see what comes up. So during our video conference this week, we were able to talk about bias and how people who live in different parts of the world are susceptible to, I don't know how to spell that.
Word check, spell check.
Yeah. Someone who lives in the West. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Oh, sorry.
I just did it. No worries. Additionally, we feel like biases are developed. Media and outside.
Yeah, I like that, the media and outside influences, like especially during like world wars, all the propaganda that comes out changes our bias majorly.
So how should we talk about how to minimize it? I mean, what is, I mean, where can we go with this? Are we just simply putting about kind of that, or are we going to put like, you know, obviously Christ was a perfect example of not having a bias towards anyone. You know what I mean? Something to that effect.
Yeah, yeah, we can sum it up with a religious aspect.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea.
What do you think about what we have so far? Should we add more? Is that kind of sufficient?
I think it's a good summary of what we've talked about. What else we would want to put? Well, we can also point out that we discussed how already bias that's developed with people is based off of time that they've spent with people and the relationships that they've developed with them. Because that was one thing that Porter pointed out.
But the biases that we form are changed by the time we spend with people
around us.
And what we initially thought would be a bias may not be anything like we initially anticipated. How's that? Changed over time.
I think we could elaborate. I think we could elaborate a little bit more on the media and outside influence play a big part in these development biases. Develop biases.
Does she have PJs on? Put the PJs on, okay? Go help her, please. Where's Keaton? Does mommy have Keaton? Is he okay? Okay. Sorry about that.
All good.
So.
Oh no, that is true.
All right. So what were you saying there? Were you saying something, Porter or Spencer? I didn't catch who that was.
I was thinking maybe we could elaborate a little bit more on the media and outside influences, like how it does. But this second, the sentence afterwards kind of helps with that.
Okay. So then our ultimate goal is to be to have no bias, have no. But let me ask you guys a question. Can't biases be good and bad?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess when I think of bias, I initially think of negative, negative connotation. Okay. But the reality is there are good biases. I mean, I think I don't know, when I hear bias, I always think of the negative connotation version of it, whereas the reality is there's good biases.
Yeah, so we could talk about our ultimate goal is to have these biases not be a negative impact in our lives, but to be a positive impact and to give us a positive view on people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that they're
Hey, bud.
Are you saying something, Spencer?
I was
I don't hear him. Do you, Porter?
No, you might want to type it, Spencer.
Oh, no. Put that on. Put the cap on. Put the cap on. Yes. They sound like that. Come over here. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. A righteous bias. That's something I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, I could see that. Something like, they're children of God. They have the ability to do good. Like giving someone the benefit of the doubt. Kind of something like that. I think it could. I think it could, Spencer. Just like, because we all have the light of Christ. We all have good. We're not born evil. We're not born bad. I'd say with the light of Christ, we're born good. It's going back to what we were talking about earlier is our life, our choice, our biases, we're shaped by our past. We're shaped by our family, those things are around us. So I think everyone's initially good. Everyone initially has good biases, but I might be wrong. But yeah, that's a good question though. That's a really good question.
No, Dad, can play with the ball?
So,
So, what do you guys think about what we got?
Maybe we could say a little bit right here where we need to find Okay. I'm just thinking, this looks good. I like it. I think you're away when I was talking to Spencer a little bit about it. We all have the light of Christ. We're not born evil. We're born good because we are children of God. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. And with that light, with that light of Christ, I'd say we're intentionally good because you see a lot of kids. They're so nice. They're so giving. And it's just as we're going out before, as we grow up, our surroundings change us, change our bias. And
yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. Do you want to put
but this looks good.
Do you want to add something like that in there?
Yeah, I can. Let me write it separate real quick. I'll have it put before the.
And I actually need to go in a couple minutes. I have that presidency meeting I need to be at 7. So.
Okay.
We got to work on the quiz questions, right?
We don't need a quiz question this time around.
Oh, nice. Okay, and then I don't know if I told you guys, I'm gonna be out of town next week. I'm going on a cruise, so I'm going to get. I already looked ahead at the next week's thing, and it's we need to do a Wall Street Journal post. So if you guys want, I'll just send you what I submit by Friday, and then you guys could choose to use it. And if you can, is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, thanks, guys. Do you need anything else from me right now, or?
I think we're good.
All right. Okay, sorry I had to go. I didn't know I had this meeting today until like 2 days ago. They just changed their young women's presidency, and they're like, "Oh, we need to get together." And I'm like, "Oh man," so
Oh,
I apologize.
all good.
All right, cool. Let's text me. I'll have my phone, so if you guys need anything, give me a text or whatever.
Okay,
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
no problem. Have a good night.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye. I can submit this for our group work. I'll get the little layout that he gives us, and I'll just fill out the parts that need to be filled out.
Okay, and I'll try. If you can even hear me,
I can hear you.
I'll copy and paste the link once the video's over, and then you can put that on the doc on the thing as
Sweet.
well.
Sweet. And I'm thinking we'll just keep what we have here. I won't add anything.
Great.
Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, mate. Oh, now you're cutting out.
Oh.
All right. Well, have a good one. See ya.